Well, a very busy punters guide to look forward to and a busy sporting weekend. ITV3 is the place to be for 10 races. Jason Weaver alongside us. Jason, a Betfred sponsored card at Haydock is the feature action. 5 from there. 44 millimetres of rain they've had since Wednesday morning.
Yes, and added to that, another 5 millimeters was put on before the rain arrived. Now, look, we've all got long range, this, that, and everything else, and trying to find out what's going on. And the top of the tree have much higher tech machinery to search for things than we do. But adding 5 mil on when there was a massive downpour anyway, Charlie Johnson, Mark Johnson must have been going absolutely mad. The Australian Raider, you've travelled halfway around the world, and all right, you can say that we've got a bit of wet track form. It will be nothing, absolutely nothing like what Aspera will have to go over at Haydock.
Yeah, that's in the tempo. Look at the feature race shortly. We get underway at 1:15 though with the Betfred Silver Ball. Usually, as well, here's a high-profile 3-year-old handicap over the mile.
Yeah, good little starting point. Volterra punted off the boards, absolutely smashed them up at Newmarket. Has been given a £9 hike for that. We got Celeste Patterson, who landed a little bit of a gamble when we saw him in a tiny little contest at Kempton. It's whether you think 88 with Oisin Murphy booked is of interest. And a couple of lightly raced runners or lightly weighted runners down the bottom for the Easterby and Farhey team. But I look at the juvenile form and I think that Son of Man, he bumped into the likes of Ali Anabi, Orne. He went over to France at the back end and he was in some really, really deep company. Won't mind a bit of dig in the ground. He's definitely going to appreciate a step up in trip. And as is often the case, one of Jane Chapel-Hyam's fly completely under the radar in these sort of races. I think in a handicap at double digits, he's an each-way play.
There we are then. Son of Man for Jane Chapel-Hyam, an Australian native. And we have an Australian, as you just mentioned, in the Betfred Temple Stakes at 150 in Asfora. He heads 10 lined up for the feature Group 2 of the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, you know, let's be honest about it. If you've travelled halfway around the world and you just want in, you know, you pay your money, you take your chance, don't you? But to end up with it being pretty tough conditions, and they'll tell us that they're quicker than they are before the jockeys go out and gallop down it and tell us something completely different when they come back in. So yeah, I think it's the hardest job in the world, but getting the track right, you know, a lot of the time, leave it to nature. Some old favourites in here. I think who was it? Curragh. We had 7 questions. We had Beautiful Diamond and another were all on top of each other when they ran at Newmarket. I think in all honesty, I have to say that Rogue Lightning was going through the grades fantastically well for Tom Clover last year. He's had all the horses taken away from him from the Rogues Gallery, hasn't he? This one passed through the sale, 1 million it went through the sales. Last seen unlucky chasing home Highfield Princess in the Prix de l'Abbé over at Longchamp. Could well be the one who's got a bit of an upside in here. Won't mind a bit of dig in the ground.
Yeah, for Wathnan Racing, and the Doiler is on board, of course, giving up a ride in the Irish 2,000 Guineas to stick with the Wathnan horse. Right, 225, the Betfred supports Jack Berryhouse, Sandy Lane Stakes, kind of a trial for the Commonwealth Cup, and one of the stars of the juvenile season, and probably expect to be one of the stars of this sprinting season. Van Dijk makes his seasonal debut.
He does. It is no gimme, is it? You know, he's going to want to be stripping pretty fit. I think Esquire was super impressive in the Greenham, and he comes back down in trip, but I think he'd be absolutely fine. Pandora's Gift, as of yet, has yet to set foot on a turf surface, so is the complete unknown. Started off handicapping off 78, took a £12 whack to 90. Sure enough. No mistake there, and ran out, or what the handicapper assessed her, to 101 in a listed contest. All the way you look through it, though, I bumped into Doiler at Yarmouth the other day. I said, am I going to like what I see in the paddock when I see Van Dijk walking around? He just gave that little sort of cheeky grin and said, yeah, you're going to love him. Let's hope he's pretty special in the Betfred.
Yeah, I'll go Van Deep. Then I say it'd be a bigger fish to fry later on throughout the season. And I guess Royal Ascot will be his next destination with a good starting point for him this afternoon. Looking forward to seeing how he gets on. Move on to the 3 o'clock then. This is a 7 furlong handicap for the older horses, but just 7 go to post for this one.
Yeah, look, Baldomero, I thought that was a really good win for him last time. Metabolt, he probably had a little bit of an unlucky passage at Chester. I think he was bumped early. He ended up going wide. He lost the shoe, and he wasn't beaten that far. There'll be lots of people thinking that he's due a change of luck, but I'm all over English Oak. When Noble Dynasty made all at Newmarket, English Oak was the only one in that lineup to come from the back of the pack. Now, he finished a little bit in front of Persuasion. I think that he can rubber stamp that form because Persuasion was forwardly positioned in the run and he sort of came past and got him. I think that English Oak is a fascinating runner and, mark of 90 might just underestimate him.
Because then English Oak for Sheen Murphy and Ed Walker. And the final race on ITV at Haydock is the Betfred Nifty 50, the Hell 2 miles. This will take some getting. A few of these ran in, the Chester Cup and the Chester Vars between them, but you're going to need to stay this 2 mile on this ground on Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to take a real bit of getting. This is where for horses like Law of the Sea, I'm pretty sure he ran in this last year and he's off the back of a good run. He's not at his best with a bit of dig in the ground, and there are a whole host of them. I mean, Evaluation is very, very well handicapped, but he's no good with any dig in the ground, or he's got no form to show with a bit of cut in the ground. You sort of go down through them. The 2 horses that stand out here, Matt, and I like to knock one out of the park now and again. Well, one of them, we don't know how good he can be, and Nothing to See is a fascinating runner for Rafe Beckett. In 4 runs, he's got a mark of 97. He quite easily could be the group horse in a handicap. He won on bottomless ground when we saw him, or soft ground when we saw him last time, and it was one of the reasons that they ran him. He goes an extra quarter mile. He could be anything. So Nothing to See. Now, Danny Tudhope down to do 8 stone 12. That's just about his minimum. He comes in for the call for the Keatley team on Legendary Day, who ran really, really well over 1.5 miles up at Ripon behind a handicap good thing of Sir Mark Prescott's. He got lapped last time, admittedly over 1.5 miles on the all-weather. He stays. He loves a bit of dig in the ground, and he is a whopping price. I cannot resist having £1 each way when I know that Danny's been in the sauna.
Interesting then, yeah, in the Hell. Okay, expecting a good day at Haydock for James Doyle?
Yeah, I think that Doyle will go really, really well. Beckett is in great form. And people who still like to have a look at the Trainers' Championship and things like that, obviously with the Betfred Oaks and Derby just around the corner. It's a sort of meeting that can really boost your prize money, along with a day like today at Haydock, and the likes of Beckett and Doyle could be getting a good slice of the pie.
Yeah, so he's got a good book of rides, doesn't he, on Merseyside on Saturday. Right, we're going to go to 2 different ends of the country as well. We're going to go right down to the south coast and Goodwood. They have a 7 furlong handicap that kickstarts their card. And looks at a decent contest as well, wide open. 17 of them, around about 6 to 1 the field. Starlaw caught my eye. I know he's 4th on debut, thought about 12, 14 to 1. I would have thought he may have been a group horse last season. He comes in a handicap, but again, a real competitive heat.
Yeah, he didn't run bad. He was beaten 4 lengths by 10 Bob Tony. That was up at headquarters. Balmacara has gone through the grades nicely. Not very often they manage to win the novice carrying the penalty. He did that, carrying the £6 penalty at Doncaster. Mission to Moon, he had 1 or 2 of these in behind when he won over course and distance, and he's only been nudged up the £4. You go all the way down there. I mean, look, Montford is going to be popular, isn't he, off the back of a Catterick win, and he's been handed a mark of 82. But what did he beat? If you look at the write-up, Kieran Fallon, who won on him, said, he won't be in handicaps for much longer. He's a group horse. Well, if he's a group horse in a handicap, he's thrown in off 82. But you notice trainers becoming creatures of habit. Clive Cox very, very rarely backs them up quickly, does he? He's such a patient handler. Dragon Leader, who collected all the money winning the sales races last year for the team, was a very strong favourite for his return at Ascot. Didn't happen for him. 15 days later, a beaten favourite, Clive Cox, turns him out again. I think he must have come back, licked the bowl clean, and been bucking and kicking and ready to go. So yeah, Dragon Leader with the sniper on board as well.
Yeah, Dragon Leader, yeah. He did win a few quid, didn't he, last season. Right, the second race at Goodwood look at is the Height of Fashion Stakes Listed Contest. Usually used to be like an Oaks trial, Betfred Oaks trial, I suppose, didn't it? But the place in the calendar now means it's too close to the Classic. But it's a nice contest for the fillies in its own right.
Yeah, what a wide spread of runners. You know, we've got a couple in here that are rated in the 70s. I know that William Haggis did it last year. He won a listed race with a horse rated 78 at Sandown, but it doesn't normally happen, does it? So I think you could quite easily sort of rule a good few of these out. Look, Francophone ran a blinder in the Musidora. It's a question as to how strong that form is. And then when you go to the top, Regal Jubilee, brilliant run on her return at Newbury. And then she was beaten 10 and a bit lengths in the 1000. She gets an extra quarter mile. Robert Havlin can do no wrong at the moment and has been given the opportunity to win the Derby as well. So Regal Jubilee with an extra quarter mile to go. She gets it more than anything, even though she's carrying the £3 penalty for a listed win at Newmarket. It's by default, by her rating and the fact that she wants an extra quarter mile.
Interesting then. So that's Goodwood wrapped up. Then we'll go up north to the Knaves Market. A couple of races at York. A 5 furlong handicap. 13 of them. Old boy Coppenite. He's back again. Whose turn is it this afternoon?
Yeah, he's been a little bit unlucky, hasn't he? Because he ran a cracker behind Democracy Dilemma at Chester, who goes in here, and there's a boatload of them again. Democracy Dilemma, Vintage Clarets was in that race. He probably didn't get the run. Manila Scouse was there at Chester as well. And Coppenite ran out of the handicap last time. He's running out of the handicap again today, although Amy War hopefully will be able to negate most of that. Corker, I thought he ran really well behind Clarendon House last time. And maybe Vintage Clarets will be the one out of that race who I feel will come out the best, even though he's been given a £2 nudge by the assessor. I'm going to give Rabar one last roll of the dice. Now, he ran with the choke out at Newmarket over 6 furlongs and was still sort of in there pitching around about the furlong marker. He comes back in trip. It's his first time down over the minimum. And I'm sure that, look, Jim Crowley could have had a whole host of different places to go, but he's ended up at York. And I'd argue that this is probably one of his best rides on the afternoon.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to join and give it another chance. Yeah, he was very keen, wasn't he? I know he's fancied at Newmarket as well. Right. We've got another fillies contest. It's for the older horses, though, and it's over the almost the e-board trip, almost a mile 6 for the Bronte Cup, and the 10 are set to face the starter.
Yeah, look, and we've got quite a few. Well, we've got 2 Irish Raiders coming over, Term of Endearment and Trouvenance down the bottom. We've got Marie's Rock. You'll be able to tell me more about her from the jumping scene. I know that she's up in the 150s, 155, something around there. So you know, does that make her competitive? Who knows? But again, we're in Group 3 company. We've got Shagpile. She's a half sister to Pile Driver, but she's rated 81. And we've got a few in here that are in the 90s that are probably going to find it hard. Now, last year's winner is River of Stars. We mentioned Rafe Beckett before. Ross Ryan is there to try and go back to back in this particular contest. And she actually beat Mimic You in this, who was rated 112. And if I was being super picky, I'd go through all of last year's ratings, compare it to this, and I think that this is a little bit of a weaker renewal. She won it off a big layoff last year. Why won't she go back to back?
River Stars, and yeah, it could be a good weekend for Rafe Beckett, and of course he'll be sharpening his tools when he's ready for the Betfred Oaks and Derby next week. Right, let's pop over the Irish Sea then, the Emerald Alps, the Irish 2000 Guineas. We've got the second and third from our equivalent, both trained by Richard Hannon, taking on the Ballymore Battalion.
Yeah, look, Unquestionable was very, very good last year. He's got an official rating of 114. River Tiber seemed to flatten off a little bit towards the back end. Of the others that have run, I don't think that they're probably going to trouble him. The thing is a weather watch, isn't it? If it's good ground or better, I think that Rosalian will come up there alone, won't he? Because he was into the teeth of a really strong gallop, forwardly positioned with a bit of cover in a race where they went a real sprinter's tempo. That's something that they did do in the early stages. So I thought that he comes out of the 2,000 guineas with an awful lot of credit. Smaller field like this, although Aidan will have the pacemaker in, I think it could be a comfy time for Sean Levy and Richard Hannon coming up the hill there at the Curragh. Good ground or better, he wins.
There we are then, yes, to bring an English winner for the second time in 3 years then, and tonight Aidan O'Brien. Right, pause for breath. 10 races between Haydock, Goodwood, York and the Curragh. What's your best bet this weekend?
I suppose if we were going to go for untapped potential, I think that Nothing to See for Rafe Beckett and James Doyle. He's already shown ability to go fresh. He doesn't mind a bit of dig in the ground, so we're taking that straight out. And especially when I look down through that lineup and I look at probably Law of the Sea is going to be towards the top of the market. I've seen him get beat with a bit of dig in the ground before. So I've got one thing in my favour, taking on the Jolly. Nothing to See. Beckett and Doyle. Could be a good afternoon for them. Could get all of Fred's money.
Yeah, 7 good rides. The say for James Doyle on the Betfred sponsored card at Haydock. Jason will be there. Keep an eye on all the other action as well. And of course, we are building up next week to the Betfred Classics at Epsom. Hopefully, we can boost the betting bag this weekend, wherever you're back in the very best of luck.